everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm the model student, and this is part 1 of our build for the REVELL 1/48 scale FA-18E Super Hornet. And we did an out of the box review last time, and we had plans to do this in a different color scheme, in a what if sort of thing, doing it in a red and blue with white, and doing it up in a real clean bird in flight in New York Giants NFL team logos. And we were going to build it up to hang up in my son's room, and as he's a huge Giants fan. And the more we started looking at this kit, when we first opened it, started looking at it, it looked really good, and we started to sort of get on the fence about whether we wanted to do it like this in its traditional form and really put all the weapons on it and everything, or do it as the what if bird in flight without the landing gear and the flaps down. And I couldn't decide, and my son he said, well, any cool, like, you know, F-18 or anything, any cool sort of fighter jet would be cool for the Giants idea. So we were sort of undecided on which way we were going to go with this build. Now we're going to start, this is part 1, we're going to start with the cockpit and getting everything together. So we've got lots of time to think about that and decide whether or not we actually want to do our original plan, which was to paint it white, stencil, mask in some stars, different sizes of stars coming all along the front and maybe in through the wings here and there, still white, with red and blue, and the white New York Giants logos and some other stars and stuff maybe going around it. So we were thinking about getting pretty creative with the paint if we went that way. This way, if we go with this traditional gray with the markings on it, I think we'll really try to work on our post shading and post coloring and stuff like that. So if you want to leave in the comments what you think I should do, what you'd like to see me do, please do, because I will definitely take into consideration any of your comments and ideas about what I could do with this build. But for now, let's just concentrate on actually getting it put together and getting it into a state where all of that can happen. So thank you for joining me. This is part 1 of our build, and here we go. So we are right here with our first part, which is going to be getting into our cockpit. And we have, maybe actually before I get going here, I'll just show you my setup. So I have my sprues organized here, and what I use is one of these bamboo, it's just basically a dish drying rack for you to put plates and stuff in. And I've sort of condensed the sprues, I've trimmed them down, we've got our body cut off, so it takes up a little bit less space, and we have our sprues organized here, so we're pretty well ready to go. So I'll set this off to the side, and I'll get out our sprues that we're going to need for our cockpit, which are right here, and we'll start snipping. So there's a little bit, very small, a little bit of flash here on the seat, and maybe some other small parts, so we'll keep our eyes open for that. And I'm just using my knife to just scrape them away. Wasn't much, but it was just a bit of extra flash around the inside details of this ejection seat right here. So I think we've got that sort of generally cleaned up now. I'll just sort of clean up that edge a little bit. And then if we want to soften that off, we can always use some of our Tamiya Extra Thin, which is basically just a solvent, and just to smooth that out a bit. There we go. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I just cleaned out that inside part there. So we have our seat sides clipped off. They're looking like we're ready to put these together. I'm just going to sit like this, I do believe. Now, does that fit inside? So I think we'll clean these little nubs up here. We'll just make sure everything is really nice and clean for where we're going to marry up. Just make sure we get rid of any extra flash. around the side. A little bit of this here. There we go. Okay, let's see what happens. Does that sit there? That sits there. So I guess we want to get this edge right here. There's that little nip we don't like. Let's get rid of that. And see how that looks. We're gonna sit here. Just like that. Okay, that looks pretty good now. Good fit there. Okay. I think we'll just get a little bit of glue right in here. Right down up in here. Let's get that held into place. Hey, 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 come on now. There we go. Get this other side. Make sure we do the same thing here. Go. An extra little bit of flash there. Looks like that might get in the way a bit, whatever this is. Just carve it out of the way here. Make sure that's clean. There we go. Okay. This side looks pretty good. Let's just dab a little bit of glue in here. There. Let's bring it right up the side. And right there. Bring that together. Make sure that's tight at the head. Seat assembled. Now we're going to need our tub, I guess. Here we have our thruster thing, so I'll cut out our tub. Just get it nipped out. Oh. Get up as tight as we can here. Nice and clean. There we go. Bit of a sand just along this edge. Just in case we've got any nub. Alright. Okay, so basically we are looking at this is going to set in here like so. Our throttle control stick is going to go down in. I think we'll paint the cockpit gray though before we do that. Now what about the seat? Do we want to put the seat in before we paint, or do we want to paint it first? That's a pretty snug fit. Just make sure here, let's get this squeezed together good. I'll let that dry. Okay, let's let this set up and we'll get some paint going on because we've got some decals to put on And we want to get I think a base coat of gray inside this cockpit tub before we put any of these little doodads in. We can paint them in and just set them in place. So let's take a break and come back. So we found ourselves a pilot from another kit we didn't use that we've kept. So we've got him sitting in here. We'd cut his legs off, but you won't see that once we get the console, the instrument panel in to get him in there. But I'm just wanting to dry fit this control stick in place without glue, and then I want to glue his arm on so I can see. I want to see if I can get the joystick in his hand. So I just thought we would do this together and just see how this works. See if we can manipulate this so that we can pop him out, maybe with the joystick. But I'd like to be able to paint his hand and the joystick separate. Let me get my tweezers in here. Let's see if we can get that just to sit there for a minute. Oh, not sticky enough yet. Hold on. I want glue. I don't want to glue him to the seat, because we'll want to make sure we can paint everything. Ah, aha! Let me get him by his hand. By the wrist, probably. And let's just sort of, if I can get that just to sit there. If we can get that just to move into position a bit. I guess I could be going with the thumbs up too. That would be easier, wouldn't it? That gives him basically his shoulder. What do you think I should do? Try to put it down or keep it up? Let's see if we can get it to go down. Shall we? Looks like it's gonna go down there. Not really, does it? So I guess, hold on, well I guess he does kind of sit in there a little better with it down. Push that up a little bit maybe. Let's give this a little shove. Hey. Oh, for crap. Just want you to, there we go, up there a bit. Alright, let's get a bit of glue on there. There. Well, let's see how you sit in there. Get this moved over a bit. Let's get the shoulder back in place. Get it down a little bit more, I think. Okay, how's that look? That doesn't look too bad. He's got his hand down on the thing. He should fit in there okay once we get him into place. Alright. Oh, looks like his arm could go in a little bit. Okay, there we go. We can putty in that gap. He's got his hand basically on the thing. Looks pretty good in there. That helps him sit in place too, I notice. Okay. You should be okay. In here. Alright. Set up in here somewhere. Here somewhere, yes. Somewhere like Yankee Doodle Donder. Somewhere around in here. I think so. Okay. I think we're ready for paint. So got some glue on that. I'll get a little bit more glue in there. Let that set up. We'll get some putty in there just to close up that joint. And I think that gets us a pilot in position. I'm just going to let him sit there So his arm sets up, and we'll come back and we'll get some paint on. So why don't we do this? I'll get the paint on the cockpit, we'll get it painted, we'll get ready to set these decals in place, and then once we set the decals in place, that should sort of bring the cockpit to life. And then we can push on with the next of our parts, which is pretty straightforward, getting through the fuselage and stuff. So I guess we'll come right back. Okay, well, we've got our cockpit pretty well done. We based it with just a flat black, to me a flat black, and then all I did was I didn't totally clean the black out. I just went with the sky gray XF-19 and made it a little bit darker because it calls for a dark gray for the cockpit. And then for the seat, I just used some green, and I used this pastel green for the pilot's uniform. And his helmet, I just used an AK marker, and I got another blue one here that I used a bit on the buttons. Knobs, I used a red marker and a white marker. There's a look at him so far. So we've got his goggles are ready to get tinted with some clear, but I figure first what I'll do, there's the seat. I think what I'll do is I'm just going to thinning out. Yeah, I'm thinning out some wash, and I've just put a matte coat on them. And I just want to sort of use a light wash just to sort of deepen the folds on his flight suit here. I don't want to get too dark. Just wanted to bring about a bit of that detail back out. Get some going in around here on the helmet. Maybe just a bit more. And all I'm doing is just I'm gonna put this here. I'm picking up a bit of meal out of that. And I'm just using the tiniest amount of thinner here. In this case, I'm using Zippo because it's I don't have to worry about the finish too much. And I usually just let this, because this tends to drip out a little bit more than what I want. I usually tend to just put it off to the side and then just sort of get the, you know, consistency that I want. I just want it very thin here, so I don't want to make it too dark. Now I can always come back in with a dry brush. I think I will after this dries, just to bring the highlights out again. That's working pretty good. There, I just want to sort of bring out the definition in his folds, make it more dramatic so he pops out a bit inside the cockpit. Get some down here in his legs. That's the last of his legs. Poor dude. Gundam Thunderbolt. The guy sacrifices his legs so he can be a pilot. Pretty hardcore, man. Some of that Gundam stuff is pretty hardcore. Okay, let's just bring a little definition around here. All right. Dirty that helmet up a little bit. Okay, now I think I'm just gonna sort of flip some of this out. Ever so slightly. Bring a bit of it back up to a white. Do a little bit of this. There we go. I'm just a little bit of thinner on the swab. Ooh. So I'll go across the decals. So I can just sort of push it into the recesses. Sort of clean it off of the smooth spots a little bit. Get it back to a white. There we go. Clean a bit of that off. Too much. Just a little bit. Okay. Okay, well, there's our pilot. Looking too bad. Let's see, what color should we go with? Yellow or green tint? I guess we'll go with yellow. Should show up good. And the same thing, I'm just going to thin this. I'll thin this with IPA. Make sure I don't have any stuff left in here. Oops. There we go. Good thing I have that shut. Maybe starting a fire or something. Model student. Incinerated. Okay, there we go. Now, all I want is a dab of this. May not have to thin that. It's pre-thinned. I do thin it in the bottle, but just get a dab over here. Just want to pull it over the silver I've got on the goggles. Okay. Nice and clear. There we go. Okay. Use these goggles. All right. That's not looking too bad. You can see some buttons and some switches. And we have our. I can set this aside now. Slide this over a little bit here. And now we're ready to move on. So we've got our cockpit, our pilot, worked out rather well. Didn't have to thin that at all. Get that clean. Here, so we have our pilot inside. We've got our console with our instrument panel decal on there. Went on right. That's gonna fit right there. So I guess I can glue that right into position. Right up the tight eye there, I suppose. Button that in there right now. Okay, that should hold that in place. Okay. There's our finished pilot and cockpit. So I think, yeah, I think I can just set him off to the side now, and we'll move on to the next parts of section 1, which are basically getting, I guess, this part here, and I've got this part here coming in, and I think that gets painted with let's see which one are we using. Here's our bottom, we need our top. It looks like this piece is going to sit in here like that. So we'll get this clipped out and we'll move on, and let's say we get to the intakes, and I'll start putting the intakes together. So let's get this clipped out, we'll get some of this put together. We'll set our cockpit in place, and once we get that far, we'll come back and take a look at our intakes. So this is our next part to get glued on, and I've got it fit in here. You want to spread this apart just a little bit. Push that down in. I've just dry brushed over top of the black because this will be inside the canopy, I believe. So this is a really nice seam that we've got here, and we do have an opportunity to glue from behind. So I'm going to try to pin this into position by gluing these pins from the underside, and hopefully get a good anchor point, and then hopefully we can get this to glue in from underneath and avoid any mucking up, because there's a very, very fine rivet detail that goes along there. So it looks like that's our contact point here. Touch that. And there are apparently part 114 and 115 which fit in here, and I can't for the life of me find them on the sprue, and there isn't a sprue diagram like with the numbers in a diagram of the sprue, which is unfortunate, because then I could see if the part actually does exist, right? But for now, I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. There's a couple little fins, obviously, for accuracy wise, but I'm not going to be getting a camera in here. Once the wing's closed up, you're not going to be able to see. I could cut some little pieces of styrene if I wanted to go that far, but I don't think I want to. So I'm not going to. Probably. I don't think I am. Alright, let's see how this is staying in position here. There is that little sprue thing, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't want to sand it there because there's these fine rivet detail that goes all the way along the outside there and just sort of catch it in the light. So I don't want to obliterate that, because there's no way I'm going to be able to put that back. Oops. Alright. Oh, that looks like that's as tight as that's supposed to go. So I think I'm just going to glue this from the underside and then just hold it into place. I'm just going to go right along here. Oop, right along here. And I'm just going to go right along here. And give it this side, and then I will go. Oop. Okay, there we go. And I'll just hold this down for a couple minutes and hold that into place. And we have so far, oh, we almost forgot too. We remembered to get our little ejection handle there. We almost forgot to glue that puppy in there. So we got that in there. We put a clear coat, shiny clear coat on his helmet. Gave it a bit of a shine. And we have our intakes together here. And while I was doing them, I just hit them with a flat paint marker, so they are ready now for a spray with the white. And I think what I'll do is I'll start with the black, because we clamped these into place. These were a little bit funky, so you'll see kind of back in here there's two pins on the inside of this triangular piece that goes in here, and you may have, I had to trim off this top pin where it wanted to be shorter because it was too long and it was holding out this edge out. So by cutting that off, I was able to get that tight together right here, and I do believe it worked for both of them. Yeah, it did. So those are sorted. So this being the inside of the wheel wells, I do believe, we'll get this primed in a black, flat black, and then we'll go into the white, and I'll do the insides of these, and then once I get to the pure white, I'll do the insides of these. And I do believe that's, do we see, oh, and I guess I should do this black and then do this white here too, so that we can get this prepped up for paint. We'll get the nose on. We've got this part here fits right in like so, and we have this sanded and stuff, so we got a pretty good fit going on there with this piece. So we'll glue that in, and we have this piece which goes here. Got a pretty good fit going on there with that one. I think I'll clean up this edge here just a bit, just along this side with the sanding stick. Probably a good opportunity to try one of our new sanders. Let's try a 400 on this edge. No, let's actually go to 6. We'll try a 6. So let's try one of our brand new display sanding sponges. Right here along the edge of this one. So we kind of want to clean up this seam here a bit. Got this little bit of thing going on. I think I can take a bit of that out just right here along the edge that we see along that panel line. Oh, that looks better already. Okay, I'll probably smooth that out even just a little bit more down here. Okay, that's pretty good. That one looks pretty good. Okay, so I think we can glue that into place. Again, I'm going to try to get this pinned into place from behind. I can get it hold there. And then really minimize the surface glue that I got to do. Surface glue that I got to do! I guess I should keep that right there. Wants to open up a bit right there, so we'll just kind of pinch it right there. We'll get a dab right here in this little corner. Right in there. I'm gonna try and do as clean a job with the glue as I have each time. Try to get it as clean as I can. It's been a while since we built an aircraft. 48 scale, we did the 72, the REVELL, and the 111B. But it's been a while since we've done a 48 aircraft. Okay, that's starting to lock in. Just get a little dab on this side. Here where we've got a bit of panel. And a little bit right in there. Look at that. Flow right in there. Okay. Now let's put this top one in. Or the bottom one, I should say. Okay, I think we'll just, oops, so as soon as you go to glue it. Okay, let's get a little tab in the corners, just to tag it. I just want to paint right along that panel line right here. Okay. Just gonna let that sit for a minute so I can get a nice clean joint right there. That looks pretty good. We're just gonna hold that. Make sure we get a good seal. Alright, let's get a bit of black base primer on here quickly. And I just want to kind of do inside the wheelbase. Get some dark shadows in there, so when we add the white, it has a bit of depth and bring out a bit of this detail. Right, that one done. I'm just going light, nothing heavy. Don't want to create any mess or anything here. We just want to keep it contained to the wheel well area. We'll mask this out when we paint. Okay, there's those ones. Oh, a little bit here. There we go. We'll also do this front one. Sidewall. Sidewall. There we go. Alright, and we can do these. So I guess we'll get these done. Okay, here we go. Now we can get some white. Give us another little. Nope. Okay, get into the white now, and we'll get a coat in there. So I'll clean this out, and we'll get into the white. Now we'll get into the white. Got a fresh palette here. Pipette. Should be pretty good. Okay. All right. Now I think I'll start with the intakes because build up a couple coats over top of that marker prime coat that we did just while we were doing assemblies. Set these aside. We might as well start getting these done. Definitely helps getting that white. Give it something to stick to, so I'm getting a lot whiter right off the bat. That was a pretty good idea, I guess. Okay, there we go. There's those. Now, let's start on our wheel wells, I guess. Start from the center out, on the panels. Just going to keep building up intensity. Just going to start building up intensity on this here and there, just to sort of Okay, there's one. And I'm not sure how much of this gets seen, so we might as well fit it too, I suppose. I think part of it ends up gray, so at least I'll get it prepped. Do this one. Start in the center. Build up that light intensity a little bit. Start moving along. Don't know how much of that gets seen, so. And I guess now here, wheelbase. One. Okay, we'll do the front one. All right, there we go. Gets those set, wheels set, we got our intake set. So it looks like now, I think there are decals that go on the inside of this. So I got to figure that out because some of this is kind of a little bit vague. So we have this diagram here, left and right, intake. Yeah, these are the decals. So, I mean, I guess I guess that's showing us this right there. I guess that's what's showing us, is it? I don't see how. It's almost like it's showing us three sides. I guess is that this side? I guess that's this side, and that is this. I think. I don't know. Does it really matter? Glue our turbines in. Through the line down in there. Huh. Put it around the other side. Okay. The other one. All right. We can put those set. We'll tack them together. Put them together. Howbeit we get this popped inside. When we come back, we'll have a fuselage with a cockpit sitting in it. There's the cockpit sitting in the top of the fuselage. I think you will find it easier to make sure that this and this fit up through the provided space here in the cockpit, as opposed to just pinning it in here, because I was starting to glue it down here into this part here and then place it up in here, but it didn't want to fit, which made it really fiddly. So going backwards that way, just sticking it up in here and then locating this large pin that we have here into this hole here is a lot easier. So if you want to pursue that when you do it, it might make it a little bit easier to do. And here is our intake. So got a little bit of a lip there, so I think I just sort of hold it, get a little bit of glue here along this seam right there, and right along here. Same. Seems to be sitting there pretty good. Oh, yellow bug. Oh, there we go. Sort of asymmetrical, this fit, so yeah, you just gotta kind of be careful, because this is, yeah, splayed out when you put it together, so the tendency is for it to want to pinch together, which normally would be okay, but okay, there's that, there's that. I think I'd like to avoid gluing on the inside. So if I can, I'm going to run a bead right down there. Open it up a little bit. There. Gentle, gentle. Just push that into that key right there. Seems to be where it wants to line right up. That looks like a good fit. Okay, so I'll do the same with this one. Just get a little bit more swipe. There we go. Okay, there's our two intakes, and now we get to see, where do we put them? Okay, so here we are. So we have this piece already. That's ready to go. That'll sit in the back of this section here. In there. It's like this. Right there. We don't glue that. That allows our tail part to maneuver. Here, so we've got that glued together. Top panel, bottom panel. Alright, so as far as I can tell, we have our main components ready to click together. So it looks like we place these on the outside. Well, let's see. Something like this. Is that what we're looking at? Looks like it's supposed to. It's supposed to slide right up in there. Yep. part. There's that part, which is going to fit right in there. Okay, so we just want to manipulate that to where that fits in there nicely. So it looks like we're going to have to do some pinching and some holding, but other than that seems to line up rather well. Well, if you pinch here and sort of cut off there's two little tabs that are on this piece here, the nose piece, that got right in the way, so I just clipped them off. And what you do, you can sort of squeeze it into position. I think that looks pretty good, so I'm going to tag this right here, because that's a pretty good fit. I'm just gonna make sure I got a good bit of glue, and then now I just want to hold that right there and let that set, because if I squeeze it, it wants to stay right in a good spot. Let's just get her to stay there. A little bit of love, baby. Yeah. I'm holding on to you. Oh. 3 points of contact there. Yeah, look at that. A little dabble do right up in there, inner side of the wing, right here. Yeah, baby. Okay, let's just hold that tight. Alright, that seems to be working very well. Let that set up. And yeah, moving right along, I guess we'll be into doodads, facets and doodads, landing gear. We got our jets to put on, but they don't go on until after we paint our rockets at the back, thrusters, jets, whatever you want to call them, thrust vector nozzles. Okay, that looks like a pretty good fit there for what I saw. Quite a few people had a terrible time and had to use a lot of filler. I don't think I'm gonna have to use any in that seam anyways, in that joint there. It looks pretty good. right there and underneath right there. So that's joined up pretty good, I think. So I'm going to let that set before I stress it out pushing this together, this part here. I'm going to let this set. So we'll let that set. We'll push this nose into this section here, right here. We'll get that buttoned up right here. And then we'll come back and we'll see where we're off to next. Well, I think that's a good session there. We have a pretty well completed aircraft. We have our intakes glued into place. I think I want to get a coat of primer on it before I do too much as far as filling, but there's a little bit of filling I'm going to do first, but not much, just maybe around the seam here on this one here. But here, let me zoom in a little bit so you can see how we're doing. So yeah, I think overall, panel line wise and getting the fit, I think we were able to get pretty good. I mean, I've used no filler at all yet, just glue. So just to me a thin. So yeah, when we come back next time, we'll be putting the thrusters together. Basically, we'll paint those separate. We'll decide on whether we're going to put the gear down or up, have this in flight, or have it both so it's in flight with the gear down or sitting on a shelf. But we have our pilot. I thought that was a great win. We got a pilot to fit in there. We have our cockpit done, which looks pretty good. And basically now we're just going to glue these on. So I think while you're gone, we'll get these tails glued on, get these wings glued into place, get the final fit, and we'll get them glued in. And then when you come back, we'll push ahead. We'll do the cockpit or the canopy here. We'll mask it in, and we'll be right into the paint. So we'll be able to start masking, and we'll decide. If you want to leave me in the comments what you think I should do with the paint scheme. I'm still on the fence whether I should go with the red and blue New York Giants color scheme that I cooked up there on the Chat GPT or GTP or whatever it is. Or go with like the box art with the gray and all of the decals provided with the kit and everything. So we're still kind of on the fence, but we can bake that potato while we're putting these last few bits together. And when you come back, we will definitely be pushing on and get probably to the finish. So please join me for part 2. Thank you for joining me this time. And I'm the model student. So next time, I guess we'll be finishing, I think, pretty well this project. We'll just get right through all of the last of the assembly, and then we'll get right into the paint and the weathering. So it should be a lot of fun stuff coming up next time. But for now, that's about as far as I think I want to push it in this episode. And if you're building something, carry on. If you thought about picking up a hobby, give it a try. I think you'll be very happy and very glad that you did. And until next time, I'm the model student. We'll see you later. Cheers. Ah!